Justin, Julian, Julian, Justin. Chapter 3. Julian discovers self. Part 2. In the early hours of the next day, they left the top of the mound. Julian went to his initiation into Alcove 3, and Namchuk to join the rest of the pack in sleep. Climbing down the stairs, Julian wondered what lessons awaited him. He had no way of guessing. Rather, he tried to imagine the alcove lessons, but as with Alcove 2, he had no way of knowing. There was insufficient foundation for the life of one boy who would be man, but who was removed from all other men. He could not hazard a guess, so he gave up that line of thought. He lit the torch that would light the bottom of the stairs and proceeded to Alcove 3, where another torch was lit at the entrance. Entering this alcove, Julian's first lesson would be exploration. He wanted to see how 3 was different from 1 and 2. The layout was similar, except that at the back there were no cisterns as there is in 2. From the vantage point at the back of 3, it was different from 1 and 2 in that it formed an equilateral triangle, and the only place for him to sit or lay down was at its apex. He did not know what to make of it. He noticed also that, to his right, when he sat facing the entrance, there appeared to be a door, also triangular, that would likely lead to Alcove 4. Julian placed his torch in the sconce provided and laid down at the apex to meditate. Since he had never been in the life of any man, no unnecessary thoughts interfered with his efforts to reach a place of peace within. Tonight, his only thoughts were of the meaning of the triangular door and his placement at the apex of the triangle encompassing the alcove. This is, of course, how it should be. His lesson here was to see and acknowledge his standing. This could be either in the order of things generally, or specifically his standing relative to the 9 alcoves, but in particular to Alcove 3. What was his standing? His stay in Alcove 3 could be brief if he is able to answer the questions of the meaning of the triangle. Sitting at the apex of 1, he should be able to see that he had successfully incorporated into his being the lessons of Alcoves 1 and 2. If he can perceive this, then he would have completed the lesson of Alcove 3 and may swiftly move through the triangular door to Alcove 4, the beginning of the next triangle and the second triumvirate, where his struggle to understand may or may not be difficult. Julian quickly went into deep meditation. He saw images of trees, birds, and flowers, some of which he wanted to touch, but they were elusive. He realized at one point that he could simply imagine the touch and it would be felt. He then got lost in these sensations and forgot about the triangles which had so intrigued him. He began to imagine the touch of another human being. This extended to imagining himself in full independence and what the urge to find a mate would feel like. All of these thoughts were valid, perhaps all natural, but he had yet to reach the place in his inner growth for such wanderings in his mind, so he got no responses. He slept soundly thereafter and was surprised upon awakening that he was still without answers to the meaning of the triangles. He vowed to ask the question and get the answers, if not from himself, then from the man of mist, his teacher, the next time he meditated or was in absolute silence. One involuntary thought accompanied him as he ascended the stairs to the mound and followed him throughout the day. The man of mist was and is always with him. So nagging was this thought that at the end of the day, after a hunt with the pack, where he scavenged as usual for seeds and edible roots and plants, he climbed to the top of the mound and asked, "Man of mist, what is the meaning of the triangles?" Instantaneously in his mind, an answer. Your internal questions have propelled you to Alcove 3 and completion of the first 3 steps of your ascension in the sphere of understanding. Had Julian asked the question in Alcove 3, he would have been immediately propelled through the triangular door to Alcove 4, where greater understanding awaited him. As it is, he chose different avenues of thought, which at this point in his progress led nowhere in particular. So he now must spend some time in Alcove 3 learning of the part triangles play in human life. The boy Julian thought it was not his fault. Thoughts of independence and of living as a man away from wolves arose within him naturally. He had no control. He wanted to know the meaning of the triangles, and when he closed his eyes, that shape was at the forefront of his inner sight. He declared that it was not his wish or desire that other thoughts would override his focus. The man of mist interjected. To be a fully functioning man, a boy with no human guidance must, of necessity, submit to his greater man, the spirit within, which guides and directs the function of his physical self. Spirit never leads one astray, for its main function is to secure life at all costs. It was and is not a fault that your thoughts are focused on independence. That is the foundation upon which a man develops with or without human nurturing. Your thoughts were not wrong. In this instance, they were measures of your actual growth and an indication of additional lessons you will need to learn before advancing to Alcove 4. No doubt, the next time you meditate in Alcove 3, you will have signs of what it is you need to learn and how the tasks given to you, if any, should be completed. Julian was in the midst of thinking he should take another break from the alcoves when the man of mist disappeared from his inner sight. He left the top of the mound and went to feed himself on smoked fish, berries, nuts, and roots. He probably could not explain his general demeanor to anyone, but he was saddened about failing to quickly jump to Alcove 4. At the same time, he was extremely happy that he was able to reach the man of mist outside of the alcoves. He decided that he would not go to Alcove 3 on this night. He would instead, from his corner of the mound, think about what the man of mist had said. After participating in the pack's usual socializing pleasantries, Julian settled into his corner. Not yet ready to sleep, he thought about everything the man of mist had said. He became happy that he was not able to advance through the alcoves quickly because this could lead to him being at a disadvantage later on. He did not know for sure but sensed that such a quick advancement could delay later progress. Though he was seeing himself as fully independent before he was prepared for full independence, he did not consider this to be wrong. He thought of this as the beginning stage of creating the man he wants to be, just as he had prepared that immovable whetstone to create fire for himself. The boy Justin, with Julian within, acted upon the stone with the intent to create fire. The result of his action was that he created fire. With the fire he created, he was able to explore the sacred place on the ground, thus beginning his journey to finding self. Julian may not have been able to articulate this to man or animal, but in his mind, progressing by trials and failures ultimately leads to success. At this stage of his journey, giant leaps presented the possibility of pitfalls, setbacks, and time wasted in recovery. Julian was not conscious of this kind of reasoning within himself, for it was his inner subconscious self which worked for his protection. He wished to know what lessons he needed to absorb before advancing to Alcove 4. He contemplated this, but no answer arrived. He then hoped that he would dream of them. He had no dreams. He did have a vision of falling from the large cedar he had climbed and the injury resulting from that fall. Upon awakening, he thought long and hard on the significance of seeing this after it had occurred and what he could learn from it. He tried so hard, he missed the point. He had also forgotten that the man of mist had also said that at his next meditation in Alcove 3, he may have signs of what the lessons were. He ruminated for several days and wished for dreams, but had none that he remembered. Julian Justin's undeveloped mind was worn out when, after several days' absence, he returned to Alcove 3 with some trepidation.
Justin Julian, Julian Justin is available at Amazon.com free with Kindle Unlimited and in paperback.